This is Steve. He owns a restoration company making over 1 million a year, and he came into our Business Scaler Challenge wanting to grow it. So I'm going to show you what we came up with to help him deal with employees being really good at one trade but not so good at others. We're gonna go over this session so you can see how we figured out what was the actual issue and how we fixed that issue.
One challenge I have is just having quality guys in the field. Like I have a very good, solid single guy, but I don't have a very good second guy. And so I've been really trying to work on that as well. Because the next problem is the downside to restoration is when it happens, you typically got to move fast.
Yeah.
Telling the customer it's gonna be 2 weeks till we get in there for water, not an option.
Not okay. The insurance is
not okay.
Yeah.
And then, so I got to get in and get the water taken care of. I could get a delay between drying and then doing build back. That's acceptable. But even then, 5 months or a month without using a bathroom is not an option. And if I only have one strong guy to handle it, that's where a lot of my bottleneck comes as well. So I've been working on trying to find, we've got in my field, we've gotten to a point where we call it a construction sense, where you got to have a type of construction sense that just says, hey, look, this square thing is not fitting into the round hole. Cool. I'm not there to tell you what to do. Shave the corners. I don't know. Make the hole bigger. Go get a new piece of wood. Has to be able to work through that on their own. And that's actually quite hard to find.
Do you just not find enough people that are like that? Do you find that you interview them, but then they don't go with you afterwards? Like that's the thing. Is there just not enough of them that you see?
I find that I interview a guy and okay, yeah, I get it. Cool. All right, cool. That's what you're looking for. I'm trying to be very clear, even have a path forward. And, but then when we get out there, they understand one trade maybe very well, or 1.5 trades. Or maybe let's just say it's 3 trades. They understand 3 trades very well, but pull them outside that trade and it's suddenly like that general construction sense thinking is now gone. Like they can do it within the trade they know. But if hail hits and we're doing the roof and we're replacing windows and we're doing fence, they're not used to fence. I show up and they dug the hole angled. Like, bro, you can't put a fence post in an angled hole. Like, why do I have to tell you that? Like, I get it, you haven't done fences, but you should have enough sense here to jig it straight down. True story, bro. We were doing the deck and the guy dug the holes at an angle. Like, come on. Anyway, so that's been the challenge I've had. And I'm getting to a point where it's so consistent, it's got to be me. I must be asking the wrong questions or something. But
maybe. Have you thought about doing working interviews? Has that been something that you've thought of?
I just started.
Okay.
In fact, I just set the first guy up. He's going to try and join us this next week on a job or two where I said, hey, look, we're good on the phone interview. The next thing is to do a working interview. And I said, look, I'll pay you. I'll pay you. You're just going to be a 1099 person for like 3 days. And I picked 3. I don't know if that's right because I just started, but we're going to do 3 working interviews. And I told the guy, don't worry about being perfect. You're just going to give it your best shot, work with the field manager, and let's go from there. So I have thought about it and I've implemented it and I'm hoping to do my first one this week. And I hope it makes a difference.
That's honestly for your type of work, the best way to do it most of the time, because you're not hiring engineers where you can ask them a question in an interview and you just need to know how they think. You need to see how they work and how they adapt to things on the fly. So that's why I think working interviews are really good. We actually talked with one of the cleaning companies in the challenge about this yesterday. We had a whole conversation on that because she says, well, people come in, they sound great on the phone, but then they're just like, there's no attention to detail in the work, or they just like work so slow, or they miss stuff. And it's like, what question do I ask them in an interview? And it's like, there is no question. There's no magic question. They can answer a question however they want.
But I feel, bro.
In one way. And the good thing that working interviews do is that now you have documented very well, this is the level they can be at. And usually people are going to try super hard at a working interview, right? They're going to show the best of themselves. So now you have an expectation. And what I would do is document that, especially if you're going to do 3 days, no problem. The key is figure out what's the minimum amount of time that you need to see of someone in order to gauge what that skill is. So I think initially put it at 3 days. You're going to need a little bit more time to really gauge that. But once you see, like, if you know by the first day, this guy's done, and it keeps happening, like this guy out or this guy's good, and you see that it keeps happening on the first day, have it be 1 day only. Or if it happens on the second day, 2 days only. Or if you see that you still don't know by the third day, add another one. But the good thing is document everything, especially when you see someone that's good. The second you see there's potential, document everything. Because now when you hire them, you have something to reference back to. And if they're going like a little bit worse than how they were in that interview, which is potentially a case because they're going to be doing their best effort, you've already seen it and you can compare it. And you go, hey, this is how I've seen you work. I know you can get here. What's going on? And then it makes it much easier to get good performance out of them. So
that makes sense. If you could give me an example, you may not have one, or you might have to make one up. When you say document everything, can you give me an example of something you think you would document and what that looks like?
So I would document ways that they go above and beyond for things. So if you see that there's something, some detail that isn't 100% perfect, and you see that they go back, actually, no, I'm going to clean that up and fix it. Like they complete something, let's say we're doing fencing, right? And there's something that's a little bit off and they're able to fix it. Yeah, a little bit off, just a tiny bit. And they go back and they go, that's not right. Let me fix it up, make it absolutely perfect. If you're seeing those type of behaviors that you like, good behaviors, document them. And by document them, take note of it and say, hey, I saw you doing this on that day, right? And when you hire them, you let them know, hey, I'm hiring you because I saw you do this thing. I saw you do that. And you make it known before they start working for you what the expectations are. It's like, I want more of this from you because this is why you're here. And then you can reference back to it. So that way, when you reference back to it, you've already talked to them about it once and they've done that action. So you can do it. For example, also on the cleaning side of things, because we were talking a ton about that. So I have an example there is ones that go through and like double check things and double check like, oh, this is perfect, right? Or they go through, they do one thing and they just do it with really good detail. And you see that they're measuring things very well, right? On your case, like before they're cutting, they're doing that whole measure twice. They're being very precise. If you see really good precision with someone across one thing, note it. And then you can tell them, hey, look at how precise you are on your fencing work. We can do this too in the roofing. Here's how it looks like on the roofing side of things. Because that's another thing. A lot of the time with restoration, since you have to have so many skills across different trades, is you need to teach people how to transfer the skills. Because a lot of the times they have it, but they don't know how to transfer the skill. And they're so caught up in figuring out this new trade or this trade that they're not as experienced in that they forget those core skills because they're so overwhelmed. So you need to teach them when you go on to a new thing, you need to figure out as quick as possible, how do I transfer that one skill? So if it's precision, you tell them, hey, this is what it looks like on there. So that's kind of the key. And actually, funny enough, the last time I had this conversation was when I was coaching video games professionally, like 8 years ago. And it was because I was really good at playing multiple positions and I was teaching a guy, how do you play other positions? And what I would tell him is, look, you have the skill of you aim really, really well. And we look at like, we go from paintball to dodgeball, right? Something like that. It's like you move really well, you move quick. And okay, cool. How do we transfer that skill? Or how do we put that from the paintball, how do we teach you to do that in a professional dodgeball setting, right? That would be the key, is telling them, figure out what skills transfer over and figure out how to bring that same quality over. Yeah. So that's the key is you need to determine what that construction sense looks like across the different ones and let them know that. Because if you see that someone's really good at something, they can be really good at something else. They have the potential there, but you need to tell them how. How do you bridge that gap? So, and I think the working interviews are a great way to do that because you have proof from before you hire that person that they're good at something. So you have an expectation with them already. It's really easy to build that. And it's really easy to onboard them because now you know what areas they can succeed with and you know what the breaking points can be. And that's one of the biggest things, one of the biggest reasons that I see that people are firing others or that people are quitting is because the initial onboarding was wrong and it wasn't to set them up for success. So
I've had to take down, maybe some other time if it's a value or something, but I had to take down and break down our just basic level field technician role. And then I had to identify all the general skills that we expect every day. and show up on time, take breaks when
Yeah.
you're supposed to, that kind of stuff, right? If you're going to be got sick, call in. And then I had to break it down by other trades. And so I just went and tried to make a visual. And that says, hey, look, if you're looking to improve from this position, we can get to a point where I can send you to do small repairs on your own. That's a good way to get a raise. I can put you in a position where I can send you to do a larger job on your own. Maybe I can give you one guy underneath you. That has helped us. It's not the full picture. I feel like I still need to keep developing.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing you need to see is like, why are they doing one of the skills really well? Figure out like what is happening that they're good at that. And then see, because usually what will happen is that construction sense that you're saying is they have that one skill in one trade and they just don't transfer it to the other one. So they're coming in with all the weaknesses and they're just getting overwhelmed. Whereas that's what you need to do is have them know, hey, you're really good at these things. You need to lean into them moving into this new thing. Instead of starting from zero, start with that skill you have that can transfer.
Yeah, I think you nailed it really well. It's a thought that I never had, is because in my mind, if you can dig a straight hole for a fence, then you can dig a straight hole for a deck. You get what I mean? If you can tell that something is straight up and down in one trade, you can determine that in any other trade you go to. So the big question I've had is like, why is it suddenly like you can understand gutters and putting them at an angle, but then when we go to slope something else, this falls apart. And so I need to identify those things and figure out how to train, cross, trade. It's the same skill, man. It's just a different setting.
Right. So for example, with the deck and the fence, let's say somebody's really good with fences and they are always digging the holes straight down, but then they go to the deck and they're making errors there, or it's like, dude, it's the same freaking skill, but they might be overwhelmed thinking, oh wow, now I'm working on a structure. I'm not just working on a fence, I'm working on an actual structure. People are going to stand on, we need to follow certain safety standards, and they're overwhelmed with that. And now he's not thinking about, how do I just bring in my skill from fencing of doing really good holes, putting in good posts. That's the thing, is they get overwhelmed with the new stuff and they're only thinking of that. Whereas you need them to think, you have this skill, I put you here for a reason. Use the freaking skill that you have. And that's kind of what you have to show them is, what skill do they need to transfer? And just let them know the first time they go into something is, hey, look, I want you to look at, this is what you're good at with fencing. Let's look at the areas that it applies in the other one. And that's the best way to get that sense, because it's not that it disappears, it's that it just gets taken over by other things. So it's really easy for someone that's of good skill and that has transferable skills to get overwhelmed with something new, you know?
Yeah. So as you're talking, one thing I could potentially do is, first we sit down and realize, okay, we're doing a different trade, but what skills transfer, and just literally have a conversation about, hey, look, you're good at this, this, and this, and it's real similar to what we're going to do here, just looks a little different, and go over, here's how it's going to apply in this one. And maybe we bridge that gap. It could be.
Yep. Yeah. And it's exactly what I did with you at the start of this meeting, where we said, hey, you already have the system where you're selling private work on top of the entrance work on the roofing side. Let's get that going. Because you came up with it initially. Why didn't you come up with on all the other restoration stuff? Because there's other stuff in the way. You're looking at other things.
Yeah, so essentially, I've still been busy trying to build the system on the insurance side so we don't get screwed.
Right.
That I just didn't have enough time to apply here, and I never had thought about it to that detail.
So that's the thing, is that's what's happening with your guys out on the field. They're so overwhelmed with the new things of that other trade, the things that they do have to pick up, that they don't bring over the good stuff from the other.
Yeah, so that's a really good thought. Yeah,
so
really good thought.
That's what I would do there, because a lot of the times, and you even said it, customer expectations matter. Your expectations with employees matter too.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
Sometimes you're expecting something that maybe you can fix, and it's not even like, oh, it's your fault or it's their fault. It's just like, who can do something about it? Well, you can by just telling them, hey, you're really good at this, bring it over to here. Yeah. Like, for example, if you have a really good tennis player, the tennis serve is really similar to throwing a football. So if you're bringing somebody that plays tennis into football, you're not going to tell them, as a quarterback, you're not going to overwhelm them with just pure tactics. You're going to tell them, hey, you have the mechanics to throw the football really far, really hard, and really well with good precision. So what I want you to do is just focus on finding someone that's open that you can throw to. You will throw right at the same level as everybody else. Don't worry so much about the tactics. Worry on just throwing well. And
Yeah.
that's the thing, is that's what you want to bring them over on. But if you don't tell them, hey, the serve is really similar to throwing a ball, you're going to be good at that, so lean into it, they're just going to get overwhelmed and they're just going to go, I don't know. But they've always had the mechanics. So
Okay. That's
that's
great.
the